What is horror? The basic definition of horror is profound or intense fear. Considering this, horror can be found anywhere in the world at any time. People from war-torn third world countries know what horror is on a daily basis. Anyone who has ever been held up at gunpoint by a mugger knows what horror is. If you've ever experienced your car sliding towards the parked car in front of you on a slippery road, you know what horror is too. It's that cold feeling you get in the pit of your stomach. It's what makes your heart pound when things get sticky. But how does it apply to fiction as a genre? I think that this is a good question. Taking into account its very definition, horror is involved in every genre that there is, whether it be romance, mystery, science fiction, fantasy, it doesn't matter. So in order to define horror as a genre, I think we have to take a look at what makes a fictional story work. Any story you've read, including those literary novels you thought were boring, always has involved within it a serious problem that the protagonist, or the story's hero, has to overcome. The serious problem can be anything, but it has to be serious, if not life or death, though that isn't necessary. Excuse me. Also, something important to the protagonist has to be at stake if the story's problem is not solved. This can be anything from the protagonist's sanity to their very lives. Whatever, it doesn't matter. What does matter, though, is that the story's problem is absolute in its need to be solved, and the severe consequences the protagonist will face if it is not solved. It is these things that will keep your reader interested in your work, especially if it's done correctly, or properly, or done well. I will cover this topic in another video at a later date. So, if a story needs a problem for the protagonist to solve in order to keep your reader satisfied, then how does that apply to horror? Well, to answer that, I read many genres of fiction, including those boring literary novels that I spoke of earlier. And I found that many genres use what the title of their genre is as its main focus. For example, science fiction, especially hard science fiction, their problems are usually one of science. A mystery novel is usually a detective of some sort solving a crime, such as murder. Of course, genres and how their plots correlate go much deeper than this, but this is the basics. And so, in horror, the problem is usually one of something that is overwhelmingly terrifying. As a genre itself, horror, or that intense fear, is usually the focus of the story's problem that your protagonist has to overcome. It is then up to you, the horror writer, to come up with what exactly that terrifying problem is. Most stories written within the horror genre typically involve something of the supernatural. Ghosts and zombies, demons, werewolves, vampires, but there are also some that involve human versus human. Think Jack Ketchum or Michael Slade. These supernatural beings, though, are also used often as metaphors for very, very real things in our society. You can think of it as a story's unconscious message or theme. Stephen King, for example, he doesn't write about vampires and ghosts or demonic clowns. He writes about the fear he has of losing his loved ones, the fear of being controlled by unknown entities or substances, or being disfigured. So, when writing horror, it is first a good idea to think of the things that are frightening to people, especially to you. If you are truly afraid of the things, or disturbed by the things you are writing about, then the reader is likely to be as well. If you are not, though, the reader will see right through it. I have published horror stories with publications like The Harrow and Nanobison online. I've also published stories with various anthologies, including Living Dead Press. I have a story coming up in Title Goes Here magazine, which is a brand new magazine. It's coming out sometime this summer, I believe. I am by no means an expert on writing horror, but I do have some experience in this area, and I'm certain some of it will be valuable to someone else, especially to those who are yet to be published, and there are a lot of you out there. I was one of them once too, so anyway, you can check out my work and publishing credits by visiting my MySpace profile page. I will post the link to that just down here in the video notes. My plan is to use this YouTube channel as a place where I hope that we newer writers can gather and discuss the art of writing horror fiction, or any other fiction for that matter. It doesn't have to necessarily be about horror. My plan is to make a series of videos detailing what I think is important when you sit down to write that story. Some of these videos will be the basics for any new aspiring writer, while others will be made from spur-of-the-moment ideas. What I do want to cover, though, are the three basics. You could call them the holy trinity of writing fiction. And these are 1. Character building, 2. Plot, and 3. Setting. All three of these are very important to any story that you write. It has been debated whether or not you can teach a person how to write fiction. I believe, in a sense, that you cannot teach a person to write fiction. Either you have the talent to write, or you don't. It's that simple, in my opinion. But the ones who can write can also learn and grow. With this channel, I hope not only to help others in developing their art, but I too want to grow and learn. I believe that the learning process is never over, especially in a field such as writing fiction. So with this channel, I hope you feel free to comment. You can do so by just here commenting down there, or you can send me a personal message. Thanks for listening. I hope to keep doing this. Making videos is actually pretty tough work, especially if you're going to make a complicated video. But I plan to keep doing this, and I hope that you enjoyed your time with me, and keep writing.